All right, so welcome to our session. My name is Szymon Machajewski, and as you can see, I am in a spaceship right now. I was looking for Vivek, but I couldn't really find him. But my ship here was commandeered from some aliens who earlier they were doing some experiments on people. We have found some evidence of that. You can see the rest of the ship is all intact. I'm going to keep my video here low so we don't get detected, but I certainly plan on meeting up with Vivek in that Blackboard World spaceship. I wanted to just say hello to everybody that's been doing such a great job in collaboration in this Blackboard DevCon event. Thanks, Scott, and the whole Blackboard team. Really a great event. And so I'm going to start by sharing my screen. That way we all will be on the same page. Now this particular talk is about, or workshop is about LTI and really how to do LTI without breaking your neck, without having to do a lot of coding, but most of all, how to make institutional pages useful, how to help your faculty and students find themselves if you adopted Blackboard SAS, which is a beautiful thing, and then you even enabled Ultra, and now you have this navigation system that's new and different. Now, a bit of our talk today comes from a blog that you can access later on the community.blackboard.com, a site that you should certainly visit to stay on top of new developments. And so the article is called Lti Tool Generation for Ultra Navigation. So I want to start by just showing you a few things that can be done, and then we're going to see how we actually get that done. So here's our institutional page, and we have artistically pleasing, aesthetically pleasing systems like the helpful links, where we have an image on one side and then links on the other. I like to call these institutional page stories, because every image is somehow associated with what we're trying to communicate to our students and to faculty, and of course not all these are displayed to every role, but they are neatly separated and then enabled and disabled as needed. But we are able to promote these stories to the top, whatever is currently useful, whatever is needed. And then in another module called custom content, we're able to deliver these LTIs. And here is an example, career services. Well, this particular link happens to be an LTI link to a Blackboard course, which happens to be a self-enrollment course. And so I'll show you how to get something like that up and running. We also have a link to our Lightboard Studio, which happens to be an LTI link to a standard website that we have. And notice that we're staying in the context of the Blackboard system. There's no opening of new tabs, opening of new windows. And so we can close that and have that kind of a feeling that it belongs. And now what we're going to see is how we can perhaps create this transitional period. I just implemented the base navigation, but of faculty especially are used to some of the things that they were doing in the community system. So what can we do? Well, you can create an LTI link to something that your faculty will be familiar with. And this, of course, is a bit of a hack, but that's what DevCon is for. And it might stop working a month or two from now, but you might just need that month or two to create, a little bit of scaffolding for the skills that that your faculty have, or maybe access to the retention center. Rings the bell a little bit. Of course, there's retention center in every original course, but the access to all the courses, of course, is not available in base navigation unless you do this trick that we're going to talk about, and so now you of course have access to reports across all the courses that you're part of. And maybe you really love some of those implementations uh, that you were in the community system. We also include the links to some useful systems like our knowledge base. I always love looking at this page and seeing which articles are at the top. And so obviously our webinars are very popular. And then how to upload a PowerPoint, Amazon Alexa skill, and then things like how do we copy the course, and the best practices for Blackboard Collaborate. So obviously, these faculty are growing their repertoire of tools. And perhaps we are linking to something as simple as information about Blackboard Collaborate. Perhaps this is something that you want to feature because the faculty are still wondering how to access Collaborate in the system. And so notice that this is going straight to help.blackboard.com and allows us this kind of integration to that. So these are LTI links, but beyond that, on the left navigation, we can click on Tools, and that takes us to what's called the System Tools. And here we have a link to an article about Amazon Alexa. We have some of the other services repeated, although not all of them. We have the File Transformer, where we got a little bit more creative, and you can, of course, download the File Transformer from the site, but we can provide additional information about what it is, or perhaps your iSparkles for quickly, and so you can go ahead and put that here as well. But maybe something as useful as this tool for setting notifications. Now, in this list, this may not seem impressive. I'll show you how it works. You just click on it, and it'll take you into the profile, and then, of course, open the notifications. When we adopted Ultra and the base navigation, of course, our faculty were surprised. What are all these notifications? And they were good for them. So we did not disable any of them, right? But providing on the institutional page, and I'm going to quickly scroll to the bottom, providing this area, which is currently hidden. So at the start of the semester, providing this so that instructors can jump, and students as well, can jump exactly into the preferences area for either increasing or decreasing the set of notifications. We found that to be a nice fix for that immediate difficulty. So this is what we're going to talk about, and I'm just going to very quickly switch to update myself on the comments. Very nice, Deborah. I appreciate the alien. Yeah. So let's go in, and then let's see how this is done. And so in this instance, of course, we're going to switch to our staging system, and this is our staging page. And notice that in the corner here we have my friend Socrates. And so Socrates, what do you think? Whoops! What do you think about DB World? All right. Oh yeah, I know all about it. Galaxy of Learning, blast to the future of education. Oh, thank you, Socrates. You're really kind. And so this is a nice friend of mine that we were able to take not only the login page, but if you were to navigate to a course, you might find Socrates here as well, and also in the tools area, you can call him up, and so this is something that we might do another session about. Okay, so let's get started with our homepage and see before we get into the creation part, how these are embedded into the custom components, custom content. So in the custom content, you of course would change the title. You can set the role. You can set the role to student or faculty. But so, and this is something we're doing right now, we're creating secondary institutional roles. So for a department, so such as Department of Education, and we will promote stories and custom content for these students to the top. And so here we can go to this extra insert button and to insert an LTI item. And at this point, we can choose from any of the system items. Now, the really neat thing about this process is that I can insert the item, then I can go in, no, that was too fast. Then I can go in and I can change what it says. I can edit this text. And also, I can then later disable the system item placement, and this will not hide or disable this link inside of the custom content, right? So if you would like to have only certain LTI connections available for faculty and only certain LTI connections available for students, you can create it as a system item, place it on the institutional page, then disable it. It goes away from the tools area, but it neatly stays inside of your institutional page. And so this is how we were creating these custom modules. Of course, you can add additional pictures or other content, and you can stack them really neatly. Sorry about the scrolling. I thought I saw something. Okay, so that's the first step. That's what we will try to accomplish. And so let's get that done. How do we do that? Well, we would start at the blog entry, and after reading all this, there's a link here for Lti Tool Generation App. Now, why do we need an app? We need an app because most of the resources that we are talking about right now are very straight internet resources that have a URL. And in order to request them, you send what's called a GET request. LTI will send a POST request. And so what we need is some kind of a destination that's going to take our POST request, change it to a GET request, and it will make our resource work. And so this is what this tool does. But wait, there is more. At the end of the session, I'll share the total code for this system with you so that if you would like to self-host this kind of a thing, you will be able to. And I promise to do it in less than 100 lines of code. I know that there's a lot of experienced coders on the session. Scott, the code poet, probably could do it in 50 lines of code. But we'll talk about that in just a minute. So what would be the sample resource that we would want to do? Well, I wanted to share with you this website, pexels.com. And I'm sharing this site with you because Pexel provides free images. So when we talk about the institutional page, we are talking about graphics, aesthetics, and we're talking about keeping someone's attention, capturing first of all. And so there's no better way to do that, to have these institutional page stories, but to have just a rich background in images. And I have no doubt that if you approached your public relations department and you said, hey, you have a license to this system, send me pictures of this or that, that would happen, but probably when you do it next week, they would get annoyed, and eventually, they might ask that you license some of these pictures on your own. So this is an area where the photos are freely licensed. And so let's, yeah. So I've been searching for some things. Let's look for a picture about a computer and a mask. All right. So I thought this was a pretty interesting commentary on our current developments. The way I read it is to avoid getting computer viruses, it's best to have some protection. And so I'm going to simply say copy image location. And so right now in my clipboard, I simply have a location to an internet resource. This could have been your web page about webinars. This could have been help.blackboard.com. This can be any resource that you would like to promote on the institutional page. or to that end, anything that you want to put under tools, or anything that you want to show in an ultra course under books and tools. And so we will go back to our generation piece, and I'm pasting in, notice it's an HTTPS images.pexels.com, and we'll say generate the tool. Now there's something that comes out here, and without diving into code, it'll do the trick. All right, so basically it'll take our information, and this is what can be now used as an LTI launch, as a placement. And so let's go ahead and give it a try. We're going to navigate to our LTI configuration system, and we're going to edit our placements for the domain that shares with us this generation tool. We'll create a placement. All right. And so in this placement, we'll call that virus protection. We're going to make sure to say it's a comic relief tool. And the handle is fairly important when we run reports later on for how often a tool was used. We might want to do that. So we're going to put here something like this, and maybe even start with indicating that it's a development piece. All right, so first we're going to place this tool under the tools area. And so on the left menu navigation. So that would be a system tool. We're going to perhaps grab an icon. Now these have to be 50 by 50 icons. So if I look for 50 by 50, I should have a couple of things here. Yeah, like this one right here. And so I don't have to launch it in the new window. I would like to have the accordion come from the side and have the purple button so it feels like part of the system. There are times when you do want to launch it in a new window. Many websites today will prevent you from embedding their content. For example, as something as simple as https://google.com, they will say you cannot do that, and you'll only see a blank white screen. And so if you're dealing with a web page like that, make sure to check this. But if you are allowed to embed this content, you go ahead and remove that. Okay, so we have then the tool provider key and secret, and that was all part of our registration process if you follow the blog. And we'll go ahead and paste in the very URL that was generated for us. And at this point, we'll press submit. And so let's go ahead and open a new page for our system, and we will skip to the tools area. Whoops. How about tools instead? All right. And in the tools area, virus protection at the bottom. And notice again the neat way that it opens, becomes part of Blackboard, and we have our resource here. I'm going to try to briefly catch up on the discussion here during the demo. And Mark, you go ahead and let me know if there are any questions that can't wait until the end of the session. All right, very nice. All right, looks like no major emergencies. All right, very nice. So now we're going to take this resource and place it on our institutional page. I'm going to go back to edit my custom links, and we're going to switch it as an Lti item, and let's select our protection right here. All right, and here it is. And then there's a trick to not having the space in between here. And I knew I would make a mistake. So what you have to do is you have to go to the end and press function delete. There we go on the Mac, and then that space goes away. And so now we have our neat resource. Again, this could be a web page. Happens to be this image for us. And so we can promote it to the top of institutional page, and of course make it available. We could add commentary here. We could add more information on how this might be useful to folks. All right, and just to prove what I mentioned earlier, I'm going to go back to my tool, and I will go ahead and disable it. And as I do that, going back to tools, it disappeared from this list, but it is still usable from the institutional page, which means that you can now, of course, assign this module maybe to faculty and another module to students, and then separate the tools this way. So there's one more placement type that I'd like to share with you. And in the current implementation, if I go back to edit my placement, I will not be able to check any other option, right? Which is not a big problem, but I can just create a new placement. So, so let's go ahead and do that. All right. And we're going to call that mask 2. And I wanted to demonstrate what happens when we put it as a course tool, and then later we'll add student. So in this instance, we're going to go into the context of a specific course, which means that if you wanted to, you can add a couple of lines of code to your LTI tool, and you could then show one content for instructors and another content for students, and even continue to hold the course ID and then refer back to the course. And I'll demonstrate that in a moment in case this is a little bit muddied. So we'll go ahead and put the same URL. Again, this is the URL that we generated a little bit earlier. We'll save that, and now we'll go ahead and jump into a course. All right. All right. Let's go ahead and use this course. And so in this instance, we're going to go under course tools, and we have our virus protection here. So this is a way to communicate with instructors and put some of these resources. Maybe this is a brand new product that you're adopting, and the product could be buried somewhere under build or somewhere else, and this would be a way for you to create your own little tutorial about how to get started with that product. But let's switch this next into a student tool, and we'll go ahead and add the student element here. And as we do that, let's just refresh this page. Now, whether we are an instructor or a student, we can go back to the tools area. And here in the tools area, let's see. There we go. I did not provide an icon that second time, so that's what comes up. But again, it's going to open up neatly, keep the context of the course, and helps us to be right on point with what students are doing. So some of the examples of what we have done with this kind of a bit more advanced resource is present in our course tools area. This one right here. For example, this is an LTI tool that basically is a very simple PHP script, but when you click on it, it's going to take you into another course in Blackboard. And so this is the template that we have for instructors, and we're able to promote it to the very top here of tools. And if you are paying attention, there's a dot in front of the G, which is how this content goes to the very top of tools. But here's another example. For academic continuity, we prepared a number of LTI tools which detect the course ID, and then they also detect the role. And so This particular tutorial is presented to an instructor, and so an instructor can go through and learn about, what it means to have an assessment in an online platform, and we take them step by step through the process. But then, you see, we can present a button like this one, which then takes them into the very course where they launched the LTI tool from, right into the test area, which, as you well know, is deep down here under. Yeah, it's anyway, it's somewhere there on the menu. So being able to jump right into it, or to provide a video along with that, was a nice touch. And we did the same for Respondus. So within the context of that course, you go ahead and launch Respondus right from the tutorial. Now, another tutorial that we put in had to do with academic continuity. So from the very start, back in March, we provided this idea that if you never used Blackboard before and you have the tools menu in your course, because that's the empty shell that we would have created for you, here's what we want you to know. Online class, right? We call that remote teaching. Here are some basic steps. We want you to send a class email, and notice the blue buttons. They're going to take you exactly into the part of the course that we're discussing. So you can start a discussion forum. You can learn how to, and then we proceed, for example, to launching a collaborate session, or at least a room area, right from the tutorial. So the idea of getting familiar with LTI, it's a really strong idea for administrators, right? I mean, the developers certainly know it well, and go to some advanced ways of even pulling grades and memberships for courses. But in this instance, we are letting administrators and those who do not want to code to go ahead and use the kind of a power of interoperability of LTI tools inside of the Learn system. There's one more tool I wanted to share with you, and this is on the side of the more advanced piece, and that is, oops, that's not it. That's a roster on the what's that? This is the roster on our staging system, and so under tools, all right, we have a roster here, which is a follow-up to our building block that was quite popular, the open source photo roster, or the open photo roster. But this one does a little bit more. It allows the students to provide the preferred name, pronoun, even pronunciation, and it allows the instructor to go ahead and keep some notes about the student, and then as a result be able to grow the relationship and have a continuity of conversation with students. In addition, the link here is going to take you directly into Google Translate, so that you can hear the most likely pronunciation of the name if the student did not provide a pronunciation. And so the indicators down here tell us whether or not you saved some notes about the student, or if a pronoun was provided, or if the suggested pronunciation was done. And so that's an example of an advanced LTI tool, but certainly the institutional page can benefit quite a bit from the arrangement of LTI tools that are simpler. Well, I am going to go back now to our conversation, and so if there are any questions, and certainly, Scott, you're my helper here. If there are questions that I have missed, you just let me know. So I'm reading Ben's comment. Can we create a custom LTI tool which can launch another LTI tool inside the course? Example, I want to give instructions before they click on the red shelf link. Yeah, hey, how about that, right? So yes, and we did that. So navigating back to this course, academic digital resources. So here's the problem. Instructors are not realizing that everybody got locked up since March, which also means that book publishing offices have not been printing paper books. And so even if they're saying, hey, we're going to come back in the fall, which, I'm in space right now, so I have a little bit different perspective on this. I could tell you, what's going to happen in the fall, but I'll hold off for that. But this kind of idea that you can use the same textbook in the fall is a little bit flawed, right? Just from production standpoint. So how do we get faculty quickly into online books? So that's what we launched here, the Academic Digital Resources. And as an instructor, we again start you up with a little bit of tutorial. Hey, by the way, online resources are really great, and we have a couple of vendors you can work with. Once you select it, you go ahead and click on the Verba Collect system. That's how we communicate with the bookstore. But right from here, you can start navigating to the vendors to explore the content. All right, and so we also teach a little bit about these resources. And this is the part for the instructors. But look at what a student would see. So we'll switch to a student preview. And now it's the same tool, but this time the student, the system recognized that we are a student. And both of these links are LTI launch links. Right, so we are able to click on the red shelf or the virtual vital source, and so this is expected because of my user. All right, let's just go back a couple here. And then this one is also an LTI link. So yes, you can create a little custom LTI link and then launch any of the LTI links that you already adopted within the course. And certainly a very useful method of accomplishing that. All right, let me just navigate back here to our conversation. Yeah. All right. All right. So at 123. All right, Jane. I tried to create a Quickly B2 as an LTI. However, I used the URL from Quickly. How can I get the URL to reflect our current setup? Yeah. So what you are looking for here is the LTI link that I was sharing. It does look like an easy setup, right? Because let's just navigate back here. Let's say for Quickly or for My Courses Plus. However, this link, it's actually linked to a specific tab in the community system, right? So if I click on My Courses Plus, or it could have been Quickly, this happens to be a tab with a single module. So then it's up to you to figure out what is the URL to this tab. And it can be tricky. You might have to play a little bit with the numbers. But if I go to this frame and show only this frame, this is what the URL looks like for us, right? It's a tab group ID, and the number. And so you're going to have to figure out this number. It's not always straightforward, but obviously once you know the ID, you should be able to work out the rest. All right, Mark Kaufman. Only if the first LTI link is to the resource on your LMS, because the launch is from the platform through the tool. All right. So the first launch comes to our system. The second launch, and so here's the trick, Mark. I know where you're going with it, but already hacked that. Been there, hacked that. So what we're talking about here is that any of the links under tools here, all right, or in course tools, in fact, you see, I can look at, well, actually, let's go to a course instead. There was a demo course. So any of these links right here, You see, I'm not sure if Collaborate shows it well, but at the top, the bottom left, I have a GET request, and these GET requests, if I was to, oh, I don't know, grab an LTA placement here, copy link location, right? This GET request, I can put that as a button. I can put it as an href, and it's going to do the launch, right? So even if I am inside of my tool, I can still launch these LTI tools. And if I'm talking too much and you all going to cancel that and put a patch on it, I totally understand. But for now, this is going to work as not expected.
Yeah, that's what I meant actually. Was you're launching to uic.blackboard.com.
All right.
But if I'm
oh,
on.
yeah, Nathan, I appreciate that. I would love that shirt.
No audio here. Hello.
All right, very nice. So
audio is not working.
123. Let me go back to 123. Okay, so Johan says, very cool, with UltraNav enabled, of course, or working without UltraNav. All right, all right. So let's say that you are only interested at, in embedding tools inside of the course tools area. And so what you're looking at right now on the screen is a course with LTI tools. And so certainly, even with the community system, or even without the community system, let's say you have the Learn license for courses only, you could do these tricks right inside of the course tools area that you are looking at. What's nice about UltraNav is that it provides this aesthetic area for nerds like us to make us look good. And so I think that is really the nice thing about base navigation, that all the restrictions that are there are for our own good, because the end result is the eye rests on an empty space. The eye is not busy with all the data that we would otherwise wanted to provide. So I really appreciate base navigation for that reason. All right, yeah, thanks Scott for the help on that one. All right.
Looks like we've got another one.
All right, I might have missed something, Scott. I couldn't hear anything.
Yeah, so Ben.
Okay, so Ben, when copying these URLs, do they still work as intended after course copy? All right, very, very, very good question. So a course copy will not break this. Why? Because all the system tools that we just looked at are, of course, outside the course context. And inside of the course context, we are capturing the role of the student, of the role of the user, so student or instructor and so forth, and then the course context. So we are grabbing dynamically the course ID, and if you make a copy of the course, it'll still work okay. All right, very nice. I'm not hearing, oh, you're not hearing our audio. No, you have audio? What in the world?
Can you hear us? No, you can't hear us.
See, being so far away from the earth, there might be a delay in delivery of my audio. Oh, you know what? That's funny. Say something, please. I might have the audio back.
Testing.
Oh, hey, way from up there. I hear you now.
There you are.
I fixed my audio to fix another problem, which of course fixed hearing you for about 40 minutes. So anyway, with the audio, it would have worked much better. I wouldn't have to go back to the comments, but it just shows you, that that things don't get as smooth as intended. Yes.
Are you going to put the code for the
oh,
link
yes,
that creates the link into GitHub?
No, I'm not going to create a GitHub project, because I think GitHub would kick me out if I did that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to post it inside of my course here. Now, let me just
Oh,
so
perfect.
yeah, you see this here. So here is the magic, right? And I said that Scott can do this in 50 lines of code. I'm guessing there are quite a few developers that could do it in 100. I could do it in 100 lines of code too, I think. But here is our session, and here is my code, all right? And I'm going to make it visible, and now I'm even going to show it to you. All right, so the code, is this right here. And as you can see, this code consists of capturing the URL that the little wizard produces and simply taking you there. So it accepts a post request, the whole LTI, and I wouldn't be surprised if a truck from IMS Global pulls up to my house and I get carried out for not being appreciative of years spent on standards and so forth. But basically, all the post information is not important to us. We just want to grab the URL that's being posted, and this is debug, right? So I'm going to shorten that, right? I said 100 lines of code. Here it is. We have now down to 3, and because this is DevCon, right, we're going to make sure that there is total level of efficiency. So that's the code, and this is in PHP. And I just want to say that PHP is superior to Python primarily because it has fewer letters, but you could do this in JSP or other languages as well. So that's the dealio. That's right. The helicopters. That's right. No, but seriously, if you get started with just trying things around with a wizard that we created, and in the dev system, you show it to the team, and oh yeah, this is a nice deal, and then and I'm talking, to an administrator that doesn't want to deal with the code, right? And then you you ask, hey, if you don't want us to use this domain, then go ahead and put this one line of code on one of your servers, and we'll be good. Yes, very nice. Well, I think that this session has turned into really what DevCon is about, and that is a bunch of nerds making fun of each other and really praising code for being the way to do things. All right, very nice. I apologize for not being able to hear you all. Again, when you're so high up in spaces as I am right now, it is a little bit more difficult to hear. But feel free to comment on that blog post. I'm going to briefly show that. So here's the blog post on the community side. We can have a conversation there. Certainly, we can talk more about the good and bad and the ugly of LTI. But if we can put LTI in the hands of administrators without coding, I think that'd be pretty cool. Yeah, Johan, no problem. I wasn't going to say. I keep my my best work, internal. So I'm going to keep the 5-liner, for the newbies there. All right, very nice, very nice. So hey, thank you all. I really appreciate the time we spent together, and if you see Vivek, tell him to turn lights on and off. Maybe they'll help me to spot him up in the space. Other than that, it's been a really pleasure. I am going to turn off the recording.